Hi. You ever try to convince yourself you're imagining something, even as it's happening right in front of you? That was me. For months. It started with little things, as it always does. She began staying late at work more often, said the firm was restructuring, new leadership, tighter deadlines. I believed her, or maybe I just wanted to. We'd been married 6 years by then. There wasn't a bone in my body that thought she'd lie to me. But she did. Often. Effortlessly. I remember the first night I got that sinking feeling. It was a Thursday. I'd cooked dinner. Not fancy, just spaghetti and meatballs, the kind she always claimed tasted better than her mom's. She texted me around 7:15. Still at work, babe. Don't wait up. Fair enough. Quarter-end reporting was always a mess, and she worked in finance. But something didn't sit right. No explanation why. Just something in the way she said don't wait up. It felt practiced. I saved the plate in the fridge, poured myself a whiskey, and turned on the game. But I didn't watch. Not really. I kept glancing at the front door like I was expecting a ghost. She walked in just before midnight, smelling like sandalwood and someone else's cologne. She said the janitor at the building had changed brands. I smiled, nodded, said nothing. That was the first time I knew something was off. But it wasn't the last. She started coming home tired, distant. Her smile would arrive 5 seconds too late, like she had to remind herself to show it. There were longer showers, private phone calls on the balcony, more makeup, less intimacy. She said she was just exhausted, said she was burnt out and needed space. So I gave her that space. Not because I didn't care, but because I did. I remember thinking if I just gave her enough room to breathe, maybe she'd come back to me on her own. Then came the night we were supposed to have dinner with her parents. She called last minute, said she had to stay and finish some spreadsheets for her boss. I nodded into the phone, already dressed, already halfway to the restaurant. Said I understood, told her to be safe. But that night, something finally cracked inside me. I went by her office. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe to see her car there and feel relief. Maybe just to see her light on through the windows and reassure myself. But the parking lot was dark. Deserted. Her car wasn't there. I sat in mine for a good 20 minutes. Thinking. Rethinking. I almost drove off. Told myself she'd probably Ubered somewhere for a team dinner or left early without telling me. But instead, I got out. I walked up to the building. One of those high-glass financial firms that shut down like tombs after 6 p.m. The cleaning crew was leaving. I asked the front desk guard, a tired guy in a navy jacket with one of those radio earpieces, if he'd seen her. He checked the log. She clocked out at 6:12, sir. My mouth went dry. Are you sure? I asked. I tried to keep my voice calm, casual. He pointed to the digital screen. Look, right here. Keycard out at 6:12 p.m. Building record. Nobody comes back in without that. I nodded, thanked him, walked back to my car in silence. It could have ended there. I could have told myself she went out for drinks with colleagues, or just needed to be alone. But something in me wouldn't let it go. That flicker of doubt had become a flame, and it burned too bright to ignore. I waited until she got home that night. Nearly 11:30 p.m., face flushed, blouse slightly wrinkled. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. Said, sorry, babe, it was a late one. I stared at her for a moment, but didn't say what I knew. Not yet. I was quiet, too quiet maybe, but she didn't seem to notice. She went upstairs. I sat on the couch and listened to the shower run. The next morning, I took the day off work. Told her I had meetings. Instead, I called a friend, a guy I'd helped years ago when he was just starting out as a PI. He owed me. I asked him to find out where she'd gone the night before. No drama. Just facts. Give me 2 days, he said. I nodded. Take 3. I didn't eat much those days. Didn't sleep either. I'd sit up scrolling through old texts, old photos. Birthdays. Anniversaries. Silly selfies. Her falling asleep on my chest during Sunday football. I kept thinking, how do you even get from that to this? He called me late on a Saturday. You might want to sit down, he said. I'm already sitting, I replied. My voice was like gravel. I pulled footage from 3 motels around her office. One of them, small place off Interstate 17, no real cameras except at the check-in desk. But guess what? I didn't say anything. She checked in at 6:45 p.m. Same night. Room 104. Paid cash. I got the time-stamped footage. Her and a guy, maybe early 30s. Not her coworker. Scruffy beard. Wore a mechanic's jacket. I felt something inside me go still. Not break, not yet. Just still, like a lake before a storm. She stayed 3 hours, he continued. Left around 10:50. No suitcase. No luggage. Nothing but her purse. I swallowed. Send me the footage. It's on the way. And hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't respond. I hung up. Walked upstairs. She was asleep, curled up like a child. Peaceful. Beautiful, even. And I just stood there, looking at her, trying to remember what it felt like to trust her. To believe the words that used to come so easily. But all I could hear was the security guard's voice, and the phrase clocked out at 6:12 p.m. And now, I had the proof. Sunday morning came like any other. Coffee brewed. Sunlight spilled across the floor. She hummed in the kitchen like she always did, barefoot in that oversized sweatshirt she claimed was her favorite because it smelled like me. I watched her from the hallway, arms crossed, heart tight. It was a strange feeling, knowing the truth but not yet knowing what to do with it. I'd watched the footage 3 times already. The grainy motel check-in desk, her face barely turned toward the camera, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear just before signing the logbook. He walked in behind her, close, too close. That casual kind of intimacy you don't fake. 3 hours. Not long, but long enough. She looked over and smiled when she saw me. Morning, sleepyhead. I nodded, murmured something about needing a shower. My voice didn't betray me. Not yet. I spent the whole day pretending. Pretending I hadn't seen her lie to my face. Pretending I didn't have a digital copy of her betrayal sitting on my desktop, labeled neatly and coldly. Motel 104_Thursday footage. That night, I lay awake beside her. Her breathing was slow, steady. Mine wasn't. Every few minutes, I'd glance over and wonder, did she love him? Was it just once? Was it the first time, or just the first time I found out? I could have asked then, but I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I planned. The next morning, after she left for work, again in a tailored blouse and those heels she used to save for date nights, I emailed the footage to a secure folder. Backed it up. Twice. I wasn't trying to trap her. I just didn't want to be gaslit when the truth came out. Then I drove to her office building. The same guard was there. Back again, he asked, eyeing me. I just have a question, I said, showing him a photo of her car. Do you remember seeing this Thursday night? He glanced at it. Yeah, she left early. Didn't even say goodbye. Just tapped out and left. I nodded slowly. Appreciate it. Back in my car, I stared out at the sleek, mirrored building. The one where she told me she was still typing up reports while she was, in fact, at a cheap roadside motel, laughing with a man I'd never met. And that was the moment I realized. I couldn't let this go quietly. Not for revenge, but for clarity, for dignity. That night, I made dinner, lit candles, put on music. She walked in around 7:30, looking tired, like she'd just stepped out of someone else's life and back into mine. Smells amazing, she said, dropping her bag by the door. What's the occasion? I looked her in the eye. We need to talk. She froze for half a second, just a flicker, then smiled. That sounds serious. It is. We sat down. Chicken marsala, her favorite. She poured wine. I didn't touch mine. Halfway through her first bite, I asked the question. Where were you Thursday night? Her fork stopped midair. I told you I was at work. We had a late review session. You weren't. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Excuse me. I went by the office, I said calmly. You'd clocked out by 6:12. Building records confirmed it. Security confirmed it. She didn't blink. Impressive. Almost admirable. I must have forgotten to log back in, she tried. I came back after dinner. I shook my head. You didn't. A long silence stretched between us. Then, I stood, walked to the counter, and pulled out my laptop. Opened the video file. Pressed play. Her face changed as soon as she saw it. Not fear. Not guilt. Annoyance. Like I'd gone through her phone without asking. She stood up. So what is this, a sting operation? You spying on me now? I needed the truth, I said quietly. And this is how you get it? With cameras and investigators? Jesus, I thought we were past that. Past what? I asked. Loyalty? Trust? She laughed. Laughed. Like I was the one being dramatic. It was a mistake, she said, arms folded. A stupid one. One night. It didn't mean anything. Didn't look like nothing. Well, it was, she snapped. You've been distant for months. You're always working. I felt alone. I stared at her. So your solution was to lie? To crawl into a motel bed with a stranger? He's not a stranger, she said before she could stop herself. And there it was. The slip. The proof it wasn't just once. Wasn't just an accident. Right? I said, my voice flat. Not a stranger. Just not your husband, either. She exhaled, frustrated. What do you want me to say? Nothing, I replied. Because now, I know everything I need to. She stepped forward. Wait, let's not throw this away. We can fix this. I looked her dead in the eye. You already did. You just don't want to deal with the consequences. She reached for my hand. I pulled it away. She stood there, stunned, like she hadn't expected me to walk away. But in that moment, something inside me, something heavy and worn, finally started to lift. After the confrontation, she didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just sat at the kitchen island, staring into her wine glass like it could explain what she'd done. Like maybe if she stared long enough, she could pour the guilt back into the bottle. But guilt wasn't her strong suit. Not really. That night, I slept in the guest room. Not out of anger, just clarity. There's a difference between being mad and being done. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't slamming doors. I was simply finished. She knew it, too. I could see it in the way she lingered outside the door the next morning, her shadow pausing under the crack of light. She didn't knock. I think she knew I wasn't hers anymore. The following week was quiet. No shouting matches. No drawn-out arguments. Just the cold mechanics of two people who used to love each other pretending they still shared a life. We passed each other like ghosts, brushing shoulders in doorways, avoiding eye contact in the hall. Her toothbrush stayed in the cup. Her slippers were still by the bed. But she'd already left in the only way that mattered. Emotionally, months ago. I was just catching up. The footage never left my laptop. I didn't send it to friends. Didn't show her family. I wasn't looking to humiliate her. I wasn't looking for an audience. I was looking for peace. 3 weeks later, I filed. No drama. No last-minute confessions. Just paperwork. The woman at the clerk's desk handed me a pen like I was ordering lunch. I signed. I didn't look back. When I told her, she didn't protest. She nodded. If that's what you want. Want. No. It's what I needed. We divided assets fairly. I didn't gut her financially, didn't try to make her suffer. What she'd taken from me couldn't be priced anyway. Not in money. Not in furniture. It lived in memories. Her laughing in the passenger seat on a road trip to New Mexico. The way she curled her fingers around mine during horror movies. The time she fell asleep on the kitchen floor after drinking too much wine and cooking us pasta at 1 a.m. You can't split that stuff down the middle. You just carry it with you, like a box of things too painful to unpack. The last time I saw her, we were sitting in the parking lot outside the notary's office, signing the final agreement. She looked over and said, "You didn't have to go this far." I stared out the windshield. You went further. That was it. No final kiss. No speech. Just two people who once swore they'd never let go, realizing they'd already done it long ago. I moved out that night. Just one suitcase. A few books. My grandfather's watch. Left the rest. Not out of kindness, but because I didn't want anything that carried her fingerprint. For a while, I stayed with my brother. Then I rented a small apartment on the other side of town. Different zip code. Different grocery store. Even the air felt different, like it didn't know her name. And every so often, I'd catch myself listening for her footsteps in the hallway. I'd reach for 2 mugs instead of 1. Muscle memory. Heart memory. She reached out once, maybe a month after the divorce was finalized. Just a text. Thinking of you. Hope you're okay. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I locked my phone and set it face down. I never replied. Some wounds need silence to heal. Not closure. Not explanation. Just space. The kind that stretches between what was and what never should have been. It's been over a year now. I don't check her social media. I don't ask mutual friends how she's doing. I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. But I am different. There's a kind of strength you earn only after someone shatters your trust, and you learn to stand anyway. Not in spite of the betrayal, but because of it. These days, I drink my coffee alone, read books without skipping the ending, sleep through the night without reaching for someone who isn't there. I've found peace in the smallest things. And as for the motel footage, I deleted it. Not because I forgot, but because I finally remembered who I was before all of this. And he didn't need proof. He just needed freedom. Bye-bye.